Alright, we're back for this week's stream with a list basically by SandyDog MTG. I made some slight adjustments to the mana base simply because I didn't have the fetch lands. But we take a look at SandyDog. Now he is a noted mono red player in multiple formats. He's been on the Pro Tour multiple times, and he's almost always playing mono red. I believe his real name is Brandon Burton. He is a disabled player who plays Magic. I believe he has something similar to MS. I'm not entirely sure. I know he struggles with, might be, I don't think it's Parkinson's, but he struggles with hand dexterity and actually has his mother actually plays the cards for him, but he makes all the decisions and such. But that said, he is a very noted mono red player and is very good at what he does. So whenever he posts a list or does well with it, it is something to note and something to check out. Also, happens to dovetail quite nicely to what we've been working on, and that is a list with Ragavan in the main deck. Now, obviously, I've kind of posted a couple of different videos over the last couple weeks about is Burn dying, kind of a I'll admit it's kind of a grab your attention headline, but Burn really is in danger of slipping down the meta. Much like Dredge, much like Tron, much like Jund, Burn is in desperate need of a redo of the archetype. Now, a lot of other decks have gotten some new tools lately, whether it's been humans, merfolk, obviously all the Modern Horizons 2 nonsense. And Burn has been in desperate need of a facelift since Modern Horizons 2. The only card that really got out of that was Flame Rift. I know some people have been working on some lists with no Eidolons and running Bump in the Night and Flame Rift. I don't really think that's the way to go. I don't think Burn is a deck that can really consistently support a 3-color mana base. I've done all kinds of experimentation with Burn over the years. I've run basically every variant of Burn you could think of, and the 3-color mana bases are just awkward and take up too much damage. Now obviously Burn used to run the Nakadal versions, that was back before the Canopy lands, when you had to run Nakadal as a creature because Monastery Swiftspear wasn't really a thing, so you had Goblin Guide Nakadal. I've run versions that have been playing things like Klothys in the sideboard, I've run Bump in the Night, I've run Izzet Burn, I've run Teamer Burn with Oko, so I've done all kinds of weird experimentation with Burn as a deck. But I really think the core Boros list is the stock list, and I think it is Burn's best place to start. And I do think Ragavan, as we talked about last week, is kind of the third best 1-drop to run in the deck, simply because of the dash ability, giving another potential haste creature in the mid-game, while also allowing you to play another turn 1 play, which is obviously Burn's best turn for creatures. As far as SandyDog's list, there are a couple of things I look at and go, I'm not quite sure, but we'll run it through a league and see. The first notably being is there's 5 copies of Basic Mountain in the list. That feels a little excessive to me, but maybe he was taking too much damage from his Canopy lands, the Sunbaked Canyon, the Fiery Islet. Another thing, his list was running like one of each fetch land basically, and that's like the ideal version of Burn. You want to run like 1 or 2 of each fetch land to play around things like Pithing Needle. Obviously those are very corner case scenarios, but it is something to note. And another thing that I found interesting is, while he's only running 3 Canopy lands, he was running 1 copy of Islet and 2 copies of Sunbaked Canyon. I don't know that that is strictly correct, but once again, Pithing Needle situations can kind of see where that's coming from, but Islet obviously is much worse than Sunbaked Canyon towards casting or white-based spells, whether it be Boros, Charms, or Lightning Helixes, so that is something to keep in mind as we're playing this list. The sideboard, a little bit different than what we've been typically running. Obviously, these cards are mainly the same. Roiling Vortex and Sanctifier both have their places. He was running 3 copies of Deflecting Palm, no Path. Now, I did get into a debate with someone about the place of Path versus Searing Blood in the Burn lists. A lot of people argue that Path is not good in burn simply because, it's not dealing damage. To me, Path has always been kind of a clear the way for your Goblin guys, your Swift Spears, your Eidolons, now your Ragavans to get through for damage. That's kind of how I've always evaluated Path to Exile. Now, obviously, people don't like cards that, extend the game, like something like removing a Murktide without pressure. Obviously not the best, but, sometimes if you have a 7/7 staring you down, a creature, removing their creature if they're like 7 or 8 life is a little bit better than 3 damage. But I can see the other side of the argument where you want all of your spells to be dealing damage if all possible. Also, an argument why I was running Containment Priest versus Hallowed Moonlight, so I can kind of see where I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth. Searing Blood, I don't really think Searing Blood's in a good place in the meta. I don't think there are enough small creatures in the format to make this worthwhile. Now, obviously, if you run into a matchup like Elves or Yawgmoth, this card serves a place. It's a conditional damage. Unlike Searing Blaze, you don't automatically get the 1/1 or the 3/3. The creature has to die. It only deals 2 damage to a creature. We'll see how this pans out in this league. I'm not terribly excited about this card, but maybe there's enough creatures in the format for this to be a relevant thing. We'll try it and see. Smash to Smithereens, we've already kind of covered. And then a 1-of Skullcrack, just kind of as your 4th pseudo Roiling Vortex against life gain. Seems reasonable. Like I said, Brandon is a mono red expert. You name the format, he's played mono red. He's one of the few people I think I can safely say has played more mono red decks than I have over the years. Some people like him, Patrick Sullivan, etc. So whenever he posts a list or does well with the list, I do pay attention to it. So let's see how the list is and take its first spin and see how it does. Back for match number 1. I'm going to play, which is nice. Alright. 3 lands, not ideal in that regard, but we do have a fairly good opener with 2 1-drop creatures and an Eidolon, so we will definitely keep. But the point I was continuing about, that was kind of off-screen from the YouTube recording here, is there are, looks like we're up against creativity. There are a number of, okay, we are not up against creativity, instead we are up against a variant of Titan Shift. Looks like we're up against the Jund variant. But there are a number of things Blizzards could print into the format to make burn a little bit better. Obviously, they all come with risks. Fire Blast being a free spell. Free spells are obviously dangerous. But obviously that one comes with a huge drawback of sacrificing 2 mountains. You have Price of Progress, which is probably the most powerful spell they could print. And obviously has the drawback of making the 4 and 5 color mana bases really rue the day. And then you have things like, that was kind of dumb. I have no reason to fetch another land there. Obviously, opponent's going to block and sack, which is fine. We reveal Diabolic Intent. Interesting card. Guess it makes sense to try it with Solo Windgrace. I forgot to suspend the Riftbolt here. could end up being relevant. Don't think we're terribly in danger of dying in 2 turns, but it could be relevant in terms of sequencing. Okay, opponent is running out Arid Mesa. A Soul of Windgrace, their only play? Yikes. So that puts them to 5. Alright, didn't end up being relevant anyway, because we're not drawing spells. This is going to be lethal regardless, so game is over as long as we attack. Soul of Windgrace, that doesn't have lifeline, does it? If they untap, obviously it's scary, but Soul of Windgrace. Discard a land card, you gain 3 life, discard a land card, draw a card, discard a land card, it gets indestructible, tap it. Okay. So, Soul of Windgrace. This is one matchup. I don't know that we actually have any cards. Pioneer, Modern, John Titan Shift. Diabolic Intent. Okay, who are we playing against? Ayuri. Okay. So they have Wish in their list potentially, which gives them access to different things. Chalice being a notable one that we might want to consider playing around. They playing Arboreal Grazer, Fury Primetime. I don't know that we even won anything. Sanctifier, definitely not. It's too slow. Vortex is a consideration, but they generally don't play a lot of life gain. Skullcrack could be an easy one of to come in. Searing Blood is not good against Sakura Tribe Elder. Only good against Grazer if we have another creature that's blocking. The rest of the stuff it doesn't interact with. Deflecting Palm is middling. Smash to Smithereens is a consideration simply because they could have Chalice. So I think we literally bring in the Skullcrack and maybe go down Eidolon and call it a day. This is kind of awkward, as if some way if they're on like a Leyline of Sanctity build, we obviously don't want to be boarding out creatures. I don't think we can keep this hand. We've got 1 land, and while I can play these spells, if we don't draw a second land, it's not good, and Searing Blaze is very middling in the matchup. They have both. This hand's just complete trash. But on the draw, I think I've convinced myself to keep it, but this probably should have been a mulligan. Because if we don't draw a second land, this hand's just gonna get blanked very badly. Especially if our opponent goes like blocker into either Grazer or Sakura Tribe Elder is going to effectively blank this. Yep. If we draw a land, this will be very good, but instead we just draw a Searing Blaze, and this is exactly why I shouldn't have kept the hand. Oh, so they do have Chalice. Good to know about that one. But unfortunately, we probably already lost this game because we're just not going to get our spells out of our hand quickly enough. Dryad. Okay, Dryad and Chump Blocker. I have to go face with this Rift Bolt, and decent chance we're dead next turn. Yeah, we just can't do anything here. We'll attack with this Goblin guy. It's probably just going to get chumped by this Dwarf token. We could kill the Dryad, but I just don't think it's worth There's always a chance they don't have a payoff, but they have a Valakut, so we're effectively dead. But Chalice was a good one to know about. Though it is kind of awkward because they do play Arboreal Grazer and Bolt in their deck. So Chalice is not without its... Alright, let's just go to the next game because I'm dead before we can do anything. I guess we can bring in 2 Smash. Eidolon back in on the play is not terrible. Serum Blood is middling. Try it like this, I guess. This hand is very conditional. I do think we keep it, but this hand is very conditional. Here, Mesa, sure. Opponent with turn 1 Grazer. I'm going to play this out to minimize the damage we take. But we really need to draw some gas. Kind of hoping our opponent's like on a Chalice hand. I say, please be Chalice, but of course you're not. Alright, Bolt is not a terrible addition to the party. I think we're 3 for 3, drawing them lands. Just gonna cast this Lava Spike. Opponent goes to 7 here. So we know our opponent has another mountain in hand. They have mountain and stomping ground. So if they have Soul of Windgrace, they could go down to 5. Or sorry. Shock go to 5. Pitch go to 6. And then potentially have lethal next turn. Obviously, the downside here is they don't play one of their few chalices. This Smash Smithereens is effectively a dead card. And we don't even know how many copies of Chalice they're running. So we just know we saw it with off a Goblin God Trigger last game. Okay, plays out a Dwarven Mine. Okay, which is fine. So effectively this Goblin God's now doing nothing. Gotten for what? 4 damage, 3 damage, 3 damage, 10. Okay. Dryad, sure. So the more mana efficient play is to sack our Canopy this turn and immediately draw our second Smash to Smithereens. That is not ideal. I don't want to go below 19. 1, 2, 3, 4. Although it doesn't matter because Dryad means anything is lethal. We may actually have to consider bolting this Dryad, although I think we're dead to any Scape Shift or Titan anyway. So it's debatable whether I should be killing Dryad this turn or not if they block. Obviously, if they don't block, they're dead. Most likely. But opponent with 5 cards in hand. And we only know one of them? Stomping Ground? Just wish our opponent wasn't double queuing or whatever they got going on. Because this match should have been over like 5 minutes ago. Alright. Escape shift. So we're dead next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which means we have to kill... No. Yeah, we're just dead here no matter what we do. Because even if we kill Dryad, which I'm going to do, but we're going to 18, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're just dead to escape shift. So. Like, we could put them to 2. But escape shift alone is just going to be lethal. Alright, show me enough mountains. Presuming they do. They could be sitting on a bunch of mountains, but gonna make sure that they have enough stuff in their deck to kill us here. And they do. So. Alright. So the downside of boarding in utility cards like Smash, so if they don't have their hate card, you kind of get got. And then, you know, really wish this draw button would get fixed so you could see what was going on. But that and my choice to not mulligan the hand in game 2 both came back to punish us a little bit. Possibility we wouldn't have won game 2 anyway, but I could have mulliganed and give myself a little bit more agency in potentially winning the match. Alright, we're back for match number 2. We got a monkey, we got some lands, and we got an Nylon. I think we keep it. Always interested to see how monkey plays out in these matchups, so. I think the big thing we need to continue to look at is just what decisions can you make to improve your own play? What decisions are relevant in terms of, you know, like, obviously the matchups are tougher, you know. Escape shift used to be almost an automatic win in terms of, I think it's the mirror match. No. I'm about to get scammed. Indeed, I am about to get scammed. Undying effect. Alright, let's play that as a chump blocker. We do have some outs in this situation. Searing Blaze would be our best draw. Bolt would also be an option. I don't think I can afford to take 8. Yeah, Grief's annoying, but it doesn't really change what our outs are. Alright, let's go to the next guy. Well, So I can play Eidolon and chump block again. Or just trade with Ragavan, take the 8. Just kill Ragavan. I think it's also possible that their other card is another Ragavan. It's kind of annoying that they don't attack with Monkey here. Yep. I still need to draw something, obviously. I think I'm willing to take 8 here if they swing. Yeah. Need like a bolt or a... That is not the card we were looking for. I don't think it's smart for them to show me the blue splash. They have no reason to fetch the blue source right now. So what are the odds that I do? Draw another land, or... We'll go to 2. Increase the number of outs that we have here. Obviously going to 2 is not ideal whatsoever. Alright. Yeah, good luck and have fun. Sure. Bring in the Sanctifiers. Bring in Deflect Palm, question mark. Searing Blood's kind of middling against them. It kills Grief sometimes. Kills Ragavan. One of the Grixis piles playing. Feign Death. Voidwalker is a X2. Alright, I guess I can talk into some Searing Bloods in this matchup, although it's not great, obviously, against the scam portion of things. What is the point of the splash? Probably Expressive Iteration, Ledger Shredder, and Expressive Iteration. That makes Searing Blood significantly worse. I think I bring those in, and go down, what, maybe a couple Eidolons, and This hand's good if we don't get scammed, but that is kind of what their deck does. That was a Ragavan. I'm hoping that's all their turn 1 play is. But I feel like we're going to get like Furied or double griefed. Alright, play on Eidolon as a blocker. Well, hopefully as a blocker. Alright, faster. Opponent could easily have another Feign Death in play too. Take 8 and like it. Opponent plays nothing. Put them to 15. Fetch land would be ideal. Okay, well, we take those as well. I shouldn't have played that land out. That was quite a fumbling mistake on my part. At least we blank the Fury for now, but I shouldn't have played out the land. Hopefully we won't get hit like a Torok or something. Yeah, I punted by playing out the land in so many different ways. Yep. Even grief here is kind of annoying. Gotta continue to play out these lands. It's not ideal, but if they have like Kulagun's Command or something, growing their Torok makes it impossible to kill. So I do like holding lands in hand normally, but in this situation it's just not worth it. If they had Bolt, we're dead. It does not appear they do. Okay. Apparently this is just not our night. Alright, we're back for match number 3. This is a keepable but not exciting hand. I feel like I've been saying that a lot tonight. We have 13 points of burn, 3 lands, reasonable keep, so we'll try it, although burn hands, as always, a little bit worse in matchups, especially when you start down a turn 1 Ragavan. Alright. With this hand, we're just going to have to flat out ignore Ragavan, whether I want to or not. We just don't have the utility to play a long game against Murktide. Okay, opponent plays a Steam Dance into Dragon Age Chandler. Well, like I said, I didn't want to take this line because I don't feel like we have the resources to play a long game against Murktide anymore. But creatures are going to outpace our just burn output, so we take that gamble. Hopefully they go like Ledger Shredder or hold up Spell Pierce here. No, they're just casting a Dash Monkey. That's okay, whatever. They get a Rift Bolt off of it, sure, they want to suspend that, I'm cool with that. Go to combat. Hopefully we can draw out in like a bolt or something. Once again, we don't know if they're representing bolt or heat, or if they're just holding up Pierce. Feels like they have a bolt here. Or not only heat. Yeah. That's a reason not to run. Okay. That's why they didn't go after the Swift Spear, because any spell, we blow them out. Dash Monkey Dash. Another Rift Bolt, sure. Do I cast Lava Spike into a likely counterspell? They have Bolt here, they're going to have to use it. Looks like they're just going to cast counterspell. Maybe I'm not supposed to fetch there, but I don't feel like I can keep taking additional damage. From our Canopy land. So we'll put them to 5. And if they just wish to continue dashing Monkey, then it feels like a losing proposition for them unless they find Lightning Helix. Their hand's gotta be pretty mediocre for this to be their like constant play. Especially since they're not even playing the spells off our deck that we find. Okay. Blue. Murktide region. Sure. That's exciting. Alright, they have Bolt, we're dead. I'm cool with that. Well, cool with it or not, we have no other play lines at the moment. Alright. Sanctifier is okay. Deflecting Palm is very mediocre, but okay. Searing Blood hits Monkey and DRC non-transformed and is a Nombo with Sanctifier in deck. Don't know that I want that. I'll go down Boros Charm. Probably go down. But maybe a couple copies of Eidolon, although it is an awkward card for them. So we'll try it like this. For those of you wondering at home, I am even more convinced that I should be playing Path now in some numbers, but this is Mulligan. 4 lands just ain't gonna cut it. This hand has the opposite problem, but I don't know that we can go down many more resources against them, so we'll keep the back Eidolon and cross our fingers. Cross our fingers that we draw another land. Is obviously somewhat of a risk to fetch Basic Mountain. It's possible I should be fetching Sacred Foundry because we have Sanctifier in our deck. But Murktide is also a deck that can sometimes race us, so if they have a bold effect, I don't know why you go to discard. I guess Murktide is a reason to go to discard. Because this is dying. There's no way this is going to stay alive. Yeah. And pass. Dash Monkey. And this is yet another example of a weakness Burn has of late, which is a good bit of Burn is sorcery speed now, which is just bad. Fetch land? Sure. Mm-hmm. Opponent gets a bolt. Alright. Pass turn. Hope they don't have counterspell. Or spell pierce, or any other number of things. Now I can add Archmage's Charm to that list. Sure. Let them go to combat first. I don't think this is going to resolve, but that's the play we got. Of course not. Sure. Let's move on with our live, shall we? Alright, quick wrap. As I said, I respect SandyDog, and he is generally more knowledgeable with red decks than I will hope to ever be. But there's a lot of this list I just can't get behind. Searing Blood's just... it's too situational. Is it good to have an instant speed answer to Ragavan and to Mana Dorks and such? Sure. But the format really isn't about that as much anymore. We lost, obviously, Dashing Monkey, extremely annoying. If you look at Burn anymore, Helix and Bolt are really the only ways to answer it, and Blaze, obviously. But the bigger issue was the Murktides, the Furies. You just need Path in your sideboard, in some number. I don't think it's a good card, but I think it's a necessary evil. Otherwise, you're forcing yourself to 2-for-1 to try to deal with these threats that just otherwise you can't deal with. Deflecting Palm is its stock continues to go down. Too many of the decks you want it against are prepared for it. Is Zakama a good commander? Really have not seen too many Zakama decks in Commander. If you're looking for something fun, yeah, Zakama can be fun. It can be powerful if you have the budget for it. It can be fun and do explosive dumb things. And that's generally what the Commander format's about, as long as you have a decent casual group. So, yeah, it can be. But, wrapping it, this list is just not... it's not good, and tonight was not the best in the world. So, you need Path in your list. Ragavan we continue to experiment with, and pretty much everything else is just whatever at this point with Burn. You can eke out some wins. You can do reasonably well with the deck, but it's just not the best deck position right now in the format. So, but that'll be it for today's stream, and I hope everybody has a good day. This has been John for MTG Nexus.